Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. I have been waiting all year long for this video. I am so excited to be sharing this with you today. This is a cleaning, cooking, decorating video for our family movie night watching Hocus Pocus 2. This was such a fun night. It was so good having family time, and the kids were so excited with everything that I did. Makes it so worth it. Right now I am starting off my morning making a crock pot chicken tortilla soup with just some chicken taco seasoning, some corn and beans in here with some broth, and then I will let that cook all day long, shred the chicken up later, and add a few things to it. So stay tuned for the finale of that recipe. Of course, I will link it below. And now I'm moving on to something I'm going to put on our charcuterie board, which is going to be little witch hats. You just take Oreo cookies and Hershey Kisses and a little bit of candy melt. You could use any color, but because these are the Halloween Oreo cookies, I did an orange candy melt, and I just put a little dollop on the center of each one and pressed the kisses down and let it harden. It was the easiest, cutest idea I found online, so you should definitely make them for your Halloween family movie night or just for Halloween. Comment down below and let me know if you guys watched Hocus Pocus 2. I thought it was so good. I am so happy that it was not terrible. I had low hopes for it, but it ended up being one of the cutest movies I've seen in a long time. I'm glad it was very different from the original and had some heart behind it. It just made the movie so much better. The kids loved it, and I think we've probably watched it a few more times since this video. So in order to plan out this day, I did these few things in the morning. I have my little helper you can kind of see over there watching me make these right now. She was very excited. But then we had to leave and go to school and do a few things. And so when we got back, I ended up putting all the decorations out and cooking the remainder of the food. I will tell you, my daughter took a 3-hour nap this day, and that is when I did the majority of this, and it was just so nice that I was able to get everything done, and that she also was in such a great mood when she woke up, and so we were all able to enjoy the movie and all of the tasty treats. So I'm just going to clean off our bar area that becomes our catch-all space all of the time, and so I want to completely clear it off so I can go ahead and put a tablecloth down and start to make it spooky and inviting. First, I'm going to start on my balloon arch. I will tell you guys, I have made some different balloon garland and arches for the past year or two, and before I decided to do this Halloween one, I watched some different YouTube videos on how people did it and how to make it quick and easy, and so I went ahead and followed their directions, and it worked. I was able to do it quite fast. However, I will say some of the things they did not work, and we'll get to that in just a minute. So I went to the party store and got balloons in black, orange, purple, and green in a few different sizes. The tutorial that I watched said to fill 2 at different sizes, and you're supposed to kind of press them down to make them more round, though I didn't really care about that. I didn't care if they were perfectly round or not. And then you tie those 2 together to actually tie the knot. So tying 2 together worked great. Then you take another 2 that you tied together and tie them together for a cluster of 4. That worked. But when I started to put the 2 clusters of 4 together, it did not work very well. So I ended up having to get some string in order to tie them together. So if you see me struggling, you will see right here I can't do it, and I kind of laugh at myself. I also lose a few balloons throughout this that end up flying off and are not tied. So just so you know, this is not a perfect garland, but I will tell you it is still up in my house. If for some reason I decide to take it down, every time it falls down, my daughter gets very upset and would like it up still, but I will be creating a new one for her birthday, so stay tuned for that in a couple of weeks. I ordered an actual arch, which is just kind of a wire that goes through or some tubing, and so that will be a different style of arch that I will be making for that one, so I hope that that turns out as well. All of that long talk to be said, this was actually very easy. It took me 20 minutes to do, maybe 25 at the most. It took actually a while to get it hung up where I put it because it kept falling, and my husband came up with the genius idea of tying off the end to a heavy coffee mug to put it down on top of our cabinet to make it stay, and it worked. So that was nice. I did try to use command hooks. I ended up cutting that part out of this video, but just so you know, the command hooks that were made for decorating, so they're the very small ones, did not work. I couldn't get it to hold. It just kept pulling the command hook off the wall, so that was not an option. I think sometimes when you see balloon garland or arches, it seems very intimidating, and I was intimidated at first, but wanted to try it. The very first one I made actually came in a kit, but it had this plastic piece where you stuck up the balloon end that you tied into each piece. This is way easier tying them off together and then tying them in groups. Even if you have to string it, this still works much quicker, and it looks great. So I recommend doing this, or look up a tutorial and see a step-by-step instructions. They do have different packages of garland that you can buy that already comes color coded depending on what you're doing, and they will have all of the individual pieces, whether you're using an arch or whether you're tying it together. But just a quick tip for you guys, this is the way that I have found that works best. I am probably crazy, but I specifically put the colors in order that I did for a reason. I did not want the black and orange next to each other because I feel like that just screamed Halloween, and I wanted it to be spread out a little bit and scream more Hocus Pocus. You can see there I lost another balloon. Man, this was fun though. I will say my daughter slept through this, and it was loud, and she still slept through it, so I was very happy about that. But anyways, I did pick the color coordination because I am nuts like that, and decided to have this vision in my head of not the black and orange together. I did get very lucky in the fact that I have this little indented space here in my kitchen, and so it fit just perfectly there. I didn't even realize that that would help hold it in place, but it did. And then I did, like I said, end up tying a coffee mug to the top of the green to hold it down into the top of the cabinet. Also later, as this fell down a few days later, because she wanted to play with it and then she wanted it back up, I ended up moving it up higher, and it looked way better having more on top of the cabinets. So I'll definitely be doing that for her birthday. You can see right here that there was just some space that I could see the ribbon in the middle, and I didn't like that. So I was trying to see if I could fit a piece in and get it woven between the two. I think I did end up getting one to fit, but the other one I ended up having to tie in. I could not get it wrapped around the base. That video that I watched, they just made it look so easy that you could just wrap extra balloons around existing ones, and that is just not the case. Now that fun is over, we are moving on to setting up the counter for all of our yummy treats and our dinner over here. And this is actually the bar area that is next to our television. So when you're sitting on the couch looking at the TV, you can see this area too. So it was super fun that my family kept getting up and going back for more desserts or more dinner, more snacks, whatever you want to call it, throughout the movie. It was just so fun and warmed my heart that both the kids loved it. In fact, my daughter has asked several times, where did all the food go? Why isn't there any food over here? So I think for after her birthday, during Halloween, we will definitely be doing another snack area, because it was definitely her favorite thing. So plastic tablecloth that you can find at the Dollar Tree, and this is just very large sparkly ribbon, and I found this at the Dollar Tree as well. I thought it would look cute just to kind of throw out onto the counter and put out my heavy dishes that I'm going to put the food on to kind of weigh it down. Before I got too ahead of myself, I needed to start these brownies so that they could have time to cool before the party so that I could decorate them, and I realized halfway through I better start them, so I started brownies. This is not rocket science, it's just from a box. We're trying to keep it easy since there's quite a few things I'm doing today, but I am going to transform these into the book from Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2. There are so many different reels and videos you can watch on how to do this. I had something from Pinterest, a picture that you'll see that I used to try to copy it. I will tell you though, I did not use frosting, I used candy melts. Very hard to mold the shape that you want with a candy melt. And so after I started, I just didn't care. I knew that it looked cute enough and my kids liked it, and that's what matters. They did not turn out perfect, but you guys just gotta do the best you can, and the point is to have fun and make a memory. I guess I should say that if you guys do not know where to get candy melts, the best place to get candy melts is Michael's. They have them in every single color you could imagine, and they also have different flavors for different seasons. They have peppermint and gingerbread and things like that. So that's the best place to find candy melts, and then I just use a bag and put it in there and cut the tip off on the end. I do that for my frosting too, which I'm sure you've seen in other videos. I do have tips and real bags, but usually I'm in such a hurry with all of the chaos going on in our house with the kids. And then you will see that I have some sprinkles next to me. I found these at Walmart and I was so excited because I know that you can buy, probably from Michael's, just eyeball sprinkles, but this had sprinkles in it and eyeballs. I also got another kind that has some smaller ones, but these ones were perfect. So that is what I used for the eye. I don't know if you guys have seen, but I have also seen people make a real book online. They just take an old book and use paper mache and different crafts and glue and paint and make a book from Hocus Pocus, and I think that would be so fun to do. I just do not have the time to get that in depth with a craft project. I need something to be a little quicker. I do have a couple of Halloween crafts in mind, so we'll see if I get time to do those, but I would love to do that at some point and add it to my Halloween decorations, because every year we watch Hocus Pocus, and now we will be watching Hocus Pocus 2. Now that the brownies are setting up, I am taking the chicken out of the crock pot. This has been on low all day long. It's been about 7 hours now, so I'm just going to shred it up and put it back in, and then add the other ingredients and let it sit for another hour on low. This chicken fell apart, you guys. I do not do crock pot meals enough, or I don't do meat in my crock pot enough. I usually do a stew in here almost always, but I don't do chicken recipes very often. I usually just do those in my Dutch oven on the stove top, but it shredded up so nicely. It was fantastic. I will say this soup was so good, but I would not add the sour cream to the entire thing next time. I think it's definitely one of those recipes that needs the dollop of sour cream and the cheese on top at the end. It calls for you to add it in now. So I did, but I don't prefer that at all. I just prefer the topping of it and for the broth to be clear and just be a spicier chicken tortilla broth. The other thing that I wish I had for toppings, we did have chips for toppings, or you can get those tortilla strips that are in the bag. But the other thing I wish I had was some avocado. That would have tasted amazing, but we did not. So I will tell you, we ended up draining this the next day and making enchiladas out of it, and it was delicious, but it was good. I just think next time I will not add the sour cream. Moving on to the most fun part, the charcuterie board. Now I watched reels, I looked at pictures, and I looked at Pinterest, and I talked to friends, and I recalled memories from making charcuterie boards in the past. What do I put on this? Well, I just went to the bulk bin at our grocery store and bought a whole bunch of different Halloween candies, and then I knew that I needed some crackers and I needed something savory, and also what the heck are my kids gonna eat? Well, I ended up using pepperoni, which my daughter and my son will not eat it, but my daughter would eat it, and cheese. I used apples, and then I made an amazing pumpkin dip. You guys will see in just a minute. It was the best thing I've ever had, and I used the apples to dip in the pumpkin dip, and that was way better than the graham crackers that it called for to use for dipping. But pretzels and just some of the candies made this board completely full, and it was almost all gone by the end of the night, so it worked out great. Okay, so for the pumpkin dip, it's just vanilla pudding, and I used it dry. You don't mix it and make it. And then you just use pumpkin, whipped cream, and mini chocolate chips. I didn't measure the ingredients. I will post the recipe in the description bar below if you guys want it. I found it on probably a reel or on Pinterest. I cannot remember, but it was so good. I'm not kidding. It tasted like the inside of a pumpkin pie with whipped cream on top. It was delicious. I am not a huge pumpkin pie person. I love pumpkin everything, but pumpkin pie, there's usually other pies that sound better to me, and so if I have some, it's not my favorite option. I devoured this, and it tasted so good with the apple, so you guys definitely need to try it. And now that everything is complete and ready to go, we're just going to set up so that we can enjoy Hocus Pocus 2. Family movie nights are the best nights in my house. I absolutely love it. I love the time together, and I love that you guys shared some time with me today. Please hit the big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!